required, but and I have to say that on the worlds in Copenhagen, we had two Swedish Swan 45 that we checked as a, one of the boats selected to be checked, and we found 140 kilo difference due to the difference mostly in the forward freeboard. And simply because we found there was no mark, but there was very light, you could find that the measurer who measured before put some mark, but this mark was definitely not on the 45 degrees. And we said, we think that this should be measured here, and for that reason. Fortunately, this 140 kilos on such big boat again resulted in this 0.1 to 0.25%, so recalculate, no penalty, but recalculating. And some of this, we had a hearing, and the owner was coming with some funny device, saying that this device is used for Russian missiles, and therefore it's much more precise in 45 degrees. The result was the same. The Russian technology, unfortunately, didn't help him a lot. But generally, you can see that this can be a problem sometimes if you are not paying attention to identify properly this 45 degrees. So the numbers that are shown here, they are FFM and FAM. These are measured. So this is what we measure. And then what is taken in calculation is FF and FA. These two numbers are actually, first doing two things, are adjusted for the standard specific gravity that we use as 1025-2528, I think. So you see the difference when you adjust this, and it's also adjusted for this, any boat that was measured in old measurement conditions having some items on board. But now this
or
is
new. If you measure like I don't know how much fuel.
How much fuel? So it's all.
Yes,
this is what we also say. So if your boat is, let's say, 6 tons, 6,000 tons, and you have 100 liters or kilos of diesel in the boat, your certificate, your rated displacement certificate will be 5,900. So this 100 kilos of fuel will be deducted, like it will be calculated like the boat was measured there. Now the stability test, as you, this is the procedure what we just done today. All boat is done in the light ship measurement trim. We put the poles, as I show you, there is this LCF number which you find on the certificate. If it is the completely new boat, let's say first time measured, there is no certificate for this boat, you still need to get the rating office to run some kind of test or just LPP to understand where LCF is. I mean, you can still run, at least if you have an offset file, you can run the LPP, and then you get this to get this number. You saw how we put the poles. Generally, in the procedure like this, I would say 50% of the work you need to done is preparation. The measurement itself, when everything is prepared, you put the weights, measure for 4 minutes, take 2 and 2 weights, measure the distance, put all weights, measure for 4 minutes, and that's it. But the preparation to prepare the boat, and of course it's always responsibility of the owner to prepare the boat. I have been in a situation like this. The guy called me and say, "Okay, come to measure my boat. Okay, boat is in marina there. Come to the reception of marina and take the keys." And then what? I would say, okay.
The suggestion is never do that, because then it's always runs into some trouble.
And then, of course, I never like to do something with some other boats, and I don't want to make some damage or something, because I'm here to measure the boat, not to keep out the boat. And then what we also said, generally, the very important suggestion is do this properly or don't do it. If you don't have conditions, if there is a wind, there are waves, wait, cancel it, try another day, because You may do lots of work, spend whole day, and then get nothing, and then get results that are completely wrong, that are, you know, not reliable. You don't know if it is true, if it is not true, and then rather you need conditions like this. Today conditions were quite satisfying. Absolutely was no problem. It would be better that if we had a little more sun, but we cannot buy everything. But generally, it's really important not to force it if you cannot make it. And then there are two options, as you see. The one is this one. Basically, what this device and what this device are doing is exactly the same. The only thing is that, yes, electronically is probably more accurate in the sense that you really give to machine to measure something, and while here you need to have a good eye and you need to be concentrated in how you mark. But if you mark the same and if you calculate the same, the results will be exactly the same. So it's all on the end. It's all about only about angle, how much the boat is heeled with the weight suspended. And this angle can be calculated either from this triangle again, because you have this distance from here to here, and then you have how many millimeters distance here to here, and from this tangents of that angle you get the angle. Or you do this with electronic one, which will also show you on the screen how we were recording all these angles during 4 times for 1 minute. And this is how it's done. How it's done with manometer. How it's done. And actually, at the beginning, when I also started to do this, and still, if we want to be 100% in the rule, when you are using this one, the manometer, you should do weight by weight. You should have 4 weights on one side, and then 1 on the other, 3 on the other, 2 and 2, 3 and 1, and 4 and 0, and then make all the readings every time.
That is the classic method.
That is the classic method, but you know, it's because on the end, these steps should be equal for equal change of the weight. So if we have the equal change of the weight, these steps should be equal. And then you can on the end do with one transfer only, with all weights on one side and all weights on the other side, but then you have to be careful to read this. But again, how many you have in Poland electronic? You have 1 or you have more? One. I would always prefer or suggest that you do this with this one.
Well, but then again, for consistency, all weights on one side, all weights on the other side, without the incremental weights, is the recommended method. The rule says that it doesn't say, because there is a sentence that has been added many years ago saying that also with the manual manometer you can do the single transfer. What is the reason for the incremental weights? To have, let's say, to distribute the errors you make when looking at the water going up and down. But then the bad part or the dangerous part of the manual inclining with incremental weights is that the program tries to make a linear regression. And so if they are not lined up exactly, then there is a correction. And that is the reason why when introducing the electronic inclinometer, it was said from the beginning to just use one weight, because trying to do a regression, a linear regression on 4 points only is really pretty bad. You need this is a discussion that dates back of the times of the IOR, and then there was back in '88 a so-called statistical inclining where you could add the points. So instead of just 4 incremental ways to make 6 or 7 or 8, but then it was not really solving any problem. It was adding doubts and imprecisions, and so it has been eliminated after 1 year. When
I mean, on the end, it's the method that we show you can use simply, so one weight on the other side, half and half weights to measure the weight distance, and all weights on the other side, and that's
That's
the
not
procedure.
because in the past we used enough forward, moving.
Yes, yeah, that's what the floor was just now explaining.
yeah, but then we can, if we have time, we can try to play around and see how sensitive it is.
Yeah.
If you are deviating from the straight line.
To be sure, because we spoke in Nicola, according to the rules, it should be, the electronic inclinometer should be all zero.
Electronic is,
Yes, correct.
I mean, no, yes. No, this is probably accurate enough. It's
No.
not it's not problem, it's a problem that you need the software that can measure the angle during the time.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, if we are
Why
able
is
to write the script to collecting the data and give us the
Yeah.
average angle in some data.
Yeah.
That is not a problem.
That is being discussed for the last 3 years at least, when the inclinometers were
Yeah.
appearing in all our pockets.
But I would say that I seriously doubt that the sensors are sensitive enough.
Okay.
But they are consistent enough. They look very sensitive, they look very consistent. I have a program that gives me hundreds of degrees, but I tried it in parallel with the JM inclinometer last spring in nearly perfect conditions. And it gave consistently 0.8 degrees
Okay.
wrong.
The question is,
Even though I didn't have any
Okay, if you can bear the water inclinometer, what precision is then?